Joining me now with reaction, Pennsylvania Republican Congressman Guy Reschenthaler. Congressman, great to see you. Thank you for being here. You know, I was listening to Secretary Mayorkas over the weekend, refusing not only to admit that there's a crisis, but saying that the border is secure. Those are his words. The border is secure, despite obvious evidence that is anything but secure. Is President Biden really getting a clear picture from his advisors?
Well, a few things, David. First off, thanks for having me on. Sure. Always enjoy it, and always please just call me Guy. But let's not kid ourselves. Joe Biden probably isn't even allowed to pick what he wants in his coffee in the morning. This guy is not making the decisions. It's the radical leftists around him. And the radical leftists don't believe in border security. They want open borders. They're very open about that. Remember Beto O'Rourke saying during the primary that he wants to tear down the walls. Additionally, the Democrats will not call this a crisis. Remember, it's a challenge. It's more of the hypocrisy from the left that now this is a challenge under President Trump. It was a crisis. Also, President Trump had this under control. It was the border wall that helped. It was the seeking asylum in the first country of safety, as international law says is mandated by international law. It was those kind of reaction. It was those kind of actions that brought the caravans down and allowed people to immigrate to the United States legally through the regular asylum process. And just one more thing about the hypocrisy. Notice how the press was shut out of these facilities for weeks. If this happened under Republican, the media would be going nuts. Additionally, look at how COVID is treated in these facilities. Right. The Democrats will shut down your business. They'll tell you you can't go to church, that your kids can't go back to school, right. But no social distancing, not a lot of testing in these facilities. Again, it's more their hypocrisy.
But it is so obvious now that even some of the mainstream media that had been giving Biden a big break for the first couple of months are beginning to push back now. We saw Martha Raddatz of ABC down on the border interviewing immigrants who said, look, we wouldn't have tried this if Trump was in power. We're doing it because of what we've heard from Biden, how he is welcoming us. But I'm just wondering again, I want to get back to whether or not the president realizes the degree to which children are being used as pawns by human smugglers who are attaching the children to people who are not their parents just to get them through the borders because they're making a lot of money from it. I mean, there is a human dimension, a human tragedy to this story that is at least as bad, if it doesn't eclipse what was happening in the worst days during the Trump administration.
No, I agree, David. This is really bad. Look, I've been to McAllen, Texas. I've been in these facilities. Remember, I was stationed in South Texas for 2 years. I'm very familiar with what's going on, and I can tell you there is tragedy. There are tragedies that are occurring on these caravans. There's a lot of assault. There's a lot of sexual assault. There's murders that are going on. The people that control these caravans are the coyotes, of course, human smugglers, and the drug cartels, not people you want to do business with. Sadly, it's the Democrats' desire to push a narrative and to champion open borders that's leading to this chaos. As you mentioned, any reporter that goes down there and sticks a camera and a mic in front of an illegal immigrant, that immigrant will tell you, we're here because of Joe Biden. The chaos is directly attributable to their policies that sadly are seeing a lot of children get exploited and a lot of tragedy on the trek up. And it doesn't need to be like this. We can have asylum in Mexico. Yes, David.
I do want to switch gears for a second because there's something else. If you're okay with the way Democrats are handling the border, securing the border, wait till you see how they secure the next election with this H.R. 1 bill. Actually, it's now S1 because it's moved from the House to the Senate. What do you think about this bill and its chances of surviving a vote in the Senate?
Well, if you get rid of the filibuster, there's a chance this bill will pass. But this bill is H.R. 1 and SB 1 for a reason. It's the Democrats' top priority because it would mean that the Democrats would probably secure elections for the next decade, if not longer. There's horrible, horrible policies in this bill, David. You're talking about pandemic-style changes that would be mandated by law, universal mail-in ballots without excuses. The states would be prevented from requiring an ID to vote.
Well, it essentially federalizes. It is unconstitutional insofar as it federalizes the way in which votes proceed. The Constitution is clear that it's up to the states, but this makes it the responsibility of the federal government.
Well, liberal progressives don't care about the Constitution. They think that was written by a whole bunch of people that died years ago, and they don't need to live under those rules. So they're not going to let the Constitution hold them back. But what's worse, it even has taxpayer-funded elections where a $200 donation will be matched by taxpayer dollars of, I believe, $1,200. This would be very detrimental to our democracy. But the Democrats don't care because it's very good for them winning elections. So they're pushing it through. And again, they made it their top priority. We should be very concerned about this bill.
They're giving me a rap, but as a former serviceman, I have to ask you, National Guard says 2,300 more troops are in D.C. now. They have arrived to guard the Capitol, even though the top Guard official was against the Secretary of the Army doing this. Very quickly, what are your opinions about that?
Two quick thoughts. One, this is the people's house. We need to have tours again. We need to have constituents petitioning the government as called for in the Constitution. And let's take this military personnel, let's take these young men and women and send them to the border where there's actually a crisis going on, not to our nation's capital.
Guy Reschenthaler, good to see you again, Mr. Congressman. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.